Hi everybody, I'm Cindy from Elevated Designs, and if you were here yesterday, you see me start this really adorable beach theme insert for my interchangeable truck. So I wanted to come on and continue working on it. Maybe I can get it done today, we don't know. So a couple things I did after I left is I did change these short colors to yellow. I don't know if I'm going to keep it that way or not, but I did do that. And then I made this band the bubblegum pink, which is the brighter pink, and then just went ahead and highlighted with pink chiffon. I painted the coconuts a color called Cocoa. I don't know if I'm going to stick with that color because it's pretty much on the same lines as the honey brown that I used on the trunk of this. So there's not much of a variance in color. I wanted something a little bit different. So I might go back and maybe paint it milk chocolate, which is actually the shading color that I used on the trunk of this tree, palm tree. We'll see. I do think I'm going to do a little bit more dry brushing of the Hauser Light Green on this palm tree. I just want these little edges here to be a little bit brighter. So I think I'll start off doing that. That way, excuse me. You know, you got to clean your brush, and when you dry brush, you want a dry brush. So that way it gives me a little bit of time to let it dry. Now, if you were here yesterday, and I do have this as pinned in the chat section of my this live video, I actually started a YouTube channel. And the address to that is in this chat. But it also, too, I created a post on my page. So I've transferred all my live videos to YouTube. Because what is happening is going to happen, and it's kind of already starting, because when I went to save my video yesterday, it said it was going to be deleted within 30 days. So Facebook is now deleting all videos. Well, not all videos, all live videos. Let me rephrase that. They're only going to keep them 30 days. So I thought about starting a YouTube channel a few months ago, and with the changes Facebook has decided to make, I just went ahead and created that. And all my videos that I have on Facebook are now on YouTube. And what I'll do is, as I continue on doing series, I will put those on YouTube after each episode. Now, I didn't do yesterday's episode, but I'm going to get that done today. I have them separated in playlists. All my videos are in playlists by the series, and then each episode is numbered. That way, if you want to watch it from start to finish, you can do it in order. So, yeah. I love YouTube. I go to YouTube a lot. As a matter of fact, I was watching videos last night. I think it's very informative. So, and I guess you can go live on YouTube. And I guess go live on YouTube and Facebook at the same time. So that's something else I may look into as well. But you got to get subscribers. I just have just a couple subscribers, but you know, it's only been on there less than 24 hours. So if you're a crafter and you like to paint and you want to learn some techniques, or I personally just like watching people paint. Good morning. That's just something I like. Then I think my channel is going to be for you. Yeah, I just wanted to brighten this up a little bit. And when it comes to dry brushing, if you're not familiar with that technique, good morning. You know, you load up your brush and then you take it to your paper towel, napkin, and then you rub the paint back out. And then you just come over to your surface and just, I lightly just do little circular motions, and sometimes I'll go back and forth just so I don't end up with a line. And you just you're transferring that paint ever so lightly. This is just a mild way of, you know, putting color on your surface. Normally I float highlighting and shading, and that'll be more distinct. Like these lines are actually floating if you look on my on the fronds of this palm tree. But this is just a gentler way of adding color. And I think that's probably pretty good. And like I said, I am going to go back and do a little bit of highlighting. So if you're not familiar with floating, let me see if I can get this in view. I have a very limited work area. I use what they call a paper palette. I get these from Hobby Lobby. And they have the texture of freezer paper. And you can use freezer paper if you want. The only thing is, you know, it's rolled up. When you cut off a piece, you know, you're going to have to tape it down because it has a tendency, it wants to roll. So I just choose to use these, tear the sheet off. You can actually, if you want, you can reuse these. All you have to do is take a wet wipe it off, and reuse them. So you want to have clean water first off, and what I do is I soak my brush, and then I take it to my napkin or paper towel, and I just gently lay it down. And it's kind of hard to see, but when you do that, you can, it's real shiny, but once you touch that, the shine goes out of your brush, okay? And that's what you want. And then all you want to do is dip the corner of your brush in, your paint, you know, about that much. And then you just take it to your paper palette, and what I like to do is just go back and forth. And what you're looking for is you're looking for a gradient, dark, medium, light. Because whatever this looks like, the blending on this paper palette, or whatever you're choosing to blend your paint, is what it's going to look like over here. You can blend too much, you can blend not enough. So let me do it again. And my downfall is my water. I have too much water. And then all you do is just bring it to your surface, and you just go along whatever it is that you're trying to float, highlight or shade. And then sometimes too, if you want to widen that a little bit, it's called walking the float. You just walk it out. You just move your brush outwards. And you just keep doing this until you're happy with what you have. Now, with this particular piece, I need to watch and not go this way, because once I get my brush down here, the wet part of the brush is going to hit that and take it off. So you just want to be careful of that. You want to allow it to dry before moving on to another section. So I'm going to kind of just like alternate back and forth on this particular piece. And I just keep going in the same spot, but you know, I keep working it out. And then I'll go back in, because what it does is it moves the paint across your brush. And that's what you're after. See how the brush, how it's halfway through the brush? And like I said, I just come to my surface and I'm just using a very, very light touch, very light pressure. And I personally like to clean out my brush after every float and soak my brush. That's not something you have to do. Everyone has their own way. But I do that, and I go on both sides because I don't want a big glob of paint on one side of my brush. And then also too, even though I'm using an angle brush, and it's easy to do this, you still want to keep your brush flat when going across the surface. You don't want to go like this, or you'll end up with a harsh line. And it's easy to do that, but you want to keep even pressure on your brush at all times when it's on the surface. Like I said, it's easy to not keep your brush flat. And you're probably thinking, well, how do you keep an angle brush flat? And you just, I kind of hold it like this. Trying just to keep even pressure all the way across. Now, I want this highlighted, but I'm not going to do it right yet because I'll hit that and I'll take off my paint. So I'm going to move over to this particular one. And then what I'm going to do is I can go ahead and go on this one. Hello. And then something else you might want to do is get yourself a mop brush. They come in all different textures, sizes. But what that does is, if you have a tendency to not get enough of the water out of your brush like I do, you're going to leave a watermark. And so what you do is you use that to mop up the excess water off your surface. See, and you can't, maybe you can't tell, but my brush is it's flat. And I think that's pretty good highlighting. So All right, I'm gonna move this back over, but let me just show you something real quick. This is still kind of wet, but if I just dip my napkin in, I could go like this, rub it off, and it's good to go. It has a very, very waxy surface. So that's what I mean by, you know, you can reuse this if this is something you want to do. But I love these things. They come in, I think, sheets of 50. This is a, I think it's 9 by 12, 8 by 12. I don't know. They're like $7. It's worth the money to me. I like it. Something else you can do is if you struggle with floating, they have a product, they have floating mediums, blending gels, the stuff that you squirt, you know, sometimes in your water. You know, you dip your brush in. There's a lot of different products out there. You just got to see which one works best and gives you the best results, what you're looking for. And to be honest with you, floating to me is the hardest part of painting. That's just my opinion. I think it's the hardest part. And it just takes practice. And I struggle. Some days I'll float really, really well, and everything will be the way I want it. And then I can come back, you know, later on in the day and it's not working out for you. Or the next day, it's just, you know, it's terrible. So don't get frustrated or upset if one day you're painting like a champ and the next day just nothing is going well for you. If you watch my videos and stuff, you'll hear me say from time to time, the struggle is real. And things just aren't working out, you know. And it happens to everybody. Whether you've been painting for years or you're just starting out. So, you know, don't be discouraged. Because it happens to all of us. So, let's start painting this beach ball. And then the gnome's hands go on top of this. And you can just place this wherever you want. Here, I didn't put score marks. You might want it up right smack underneath the nose. You might want it a little bit lower. You do want to be careful because you are going to be inserting this into the truck. And so you don't want to put it down here because the way you insert this in the truck, it just has enough space for this layer only. So keep that in mind when it comes time to glue. And what I'll do is I'll actually insert this into my truck to see how much room I have before I actually glue it. So the color I'm going to use, good morning, for the yellow part of this beach ball is a color called Banana Cream. And if you've seen my summertime fence peeker, one of the part of the banner has a beach ball in it. And what I did was I went and shaded around each section of the beach ball. And I just thought that just created a unique look. And so I'm going to do that again this time around. So I'm going to be painting a bunch of different colors here at once and going back and going over them. I'm going to paint the next section a color called Poodle Skirt Pink. I think I might actually change that to the bubblegum pink, because I want it a little bit brighter than that. So I'm going to change that color and go with the bubblegum pink. And then this little circle, I'm going to paint white. Because this whole insert is going to be very bright, very festive. That's what I'm after. It's beach oriented, and if you think of the beach, you think of bright colors. I got a little bit of paint on the side edge of this. So if you get that, try and wipe it off as soon as you can. You can use wet wipes and wipe your edges off. And this yellow, I'll have to put a couple coats on, because it just doesn't coat very well. The next color I'm going to use is a color called Sweet Mint. This, I know, takes a couple coats. And if you ever have any questions or want to know how to do something, or I don't cover something that you're interested in learning, if you're watching these videos, whether it be after the fact or, you come on and watch for a little bit live, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions and help you to the best of my ability. You can message me on Facebook. I don't know if there's a way that you can contact through YouTube or not, to be honest with you. I've never tried to contact anybody. I mean, you can comment, and sometimes, from what I've seen in the past, by videos I've watched, the person, if they catch the comment that put the video up, will usually respond in the comment area. So, yeah, but don't hesitate to reach out to me. I love painting. I love creating designs, and this is very enjoyable for me. Trying pretty hard not to get paint up in that little white circle, but it's going to happen. I need to switch to a smaller brush as I approach that, because it's hard to take white paint and cover up colors. So don't be afraid to switch brushes throughout painting to, you know, base coat and get in smaller areas. Don't try and use a large brush for little small areas. It only takes a second to switch. And I always like to try and do my best to get up close to my lines. Even though I know I'm going to shade, and here's the reason why. If I don't get my shading right up next to that line, and it does happen, then you can see the bare wood. So I always just like to try and get my color up next to it. The next color I'm going to use is a color called Shoreline. That's the color for my blue. And I'm just sticking to this small brush. Also, another tip, even though I'm using a flat brush and I have my brush right up to my line, I'm still applying light pressure, and here's the reason why. If I applied really a lot of pressure, it would make my bristles spread out, okay? And possibly go over the area that and put paint where I don't want it. I like base coating a lot with a flat brush, but when going next to a color, another color or an area that you don't want paint in, you really want to watch the pressure you're putting on your brush. Because even though you might have it right next to the line like this, but if I kept pushing down, see how my bristles spread out? It's kind of hard to see that because this is a small brush. But if I use that really hard pressure, I would be going over that particular line and getting paint where I don't want it. And even though you do that, I mean, it happens, it's still fixable. Like for this, if you were to get paint in the score line, all you have to do is take a tool and dig it out. If you happen to get paint in an area you really don't want it, Q-tips are my best friend. I have lots and lots of Q-tips. And I'll dip them in water and wipe it off. But let me just kind of show you. If I just go like this with a light touch, it's about the width of my brush. But as I press down, see how the bristles spread out? I'm putting extra pressure on my brush. So you kind of want to just be aware of how much pressure you're putting on your brush as you go up next to another area. All right, the next color I'm going to use is a color called Purple Petal. And if I didn't say, the type of paint I use, the brand is DecoArt. I love their paint. I love their products. Their stuff is basically pretty much all I use. I don't use other brands. Every now and again, but very, very rare. If you've never been to their website, they've got a lot of different products out there. And what I like is they have color charts, they have the shading and highlighting charts for their paints. Under the resources tab, they have a list of all their retired colors and how to recreate that paint mixing formula, and just a very resourceful website. So it's decoart.com. The next color I'm going to use is Coral Shell. I will say this though, they do retire colors every year. And once they retire the color, that shading and highlighting chart that I talk about that they have on their website, it updates and it will remove colors that are retired. That's something I've noticed. So I happen to save their shading and highlighting charts like a couple times a year, just in case, because then I have that the color chart that you need. I follow their recommendations for shading and highlighting colors a lot, and I use their recommendations probably 95% of the time. They do their homework, and they're pretty well spot on. Every now and again, I'll not agree. I'll try out what they say, but then as I do it, it's like, I don't like that color. Just like yesterday, the shading color for the honey brown was marigold, and I had used that before, but it just wasn't going to give me the look that I was after. So I chose to use something else. But they're pretty well, they're spot on. They just really are. Okay, I'm going to start shading around these different colors. The shading color for the banana cream, is a color called Antique Gold. And you only need a little bit of these colors. The only thing is, because these areas are so small, like I said from earlier, you'll want to do just one side, let it dry, and then go back to the other side. Otherwise, you're going to be wiping off the paint. And that's on there very, very lightly. Now this next color, and I don't like this color, what they recommend for the bubblegum pink. is a color called Royal Fuchsia. I never used it until I started using that color. I actually bought it so I can shade. It's a bright color, and I just don't have a whole lot of success with this color, shading with it. I just don't. It's too bright for me. So I'm going to try and really, really blend it this time around. And see what happens. That's pretty minimal, but I'm going to just leave it go for now. And this is just my, how I approach any type of floating of color. I can go back and add color. I mean, if you get too much, there are things you can do. But I like to build my floats up. Now see, I really blended that, and it's pretty minimal, and I'm okay with that because I will go back and add another layer, and has to be how I approach using this color for shading. And then also too, once again, the pressure on your brush has everything to do with it as well. The next color I'm going to use is blue-green, and that's a very dark color. And I think, see how dark it is compared to that. So this one I think needs to be really blended good. For me, you know, adding extra water and just blending it to where it almost looks like a watercolor when it's all said and done. And then just really light pressure. And like I said, you can barely see that, but I'll go back and hit it. I personally, and this is just me, I don't like bold floating of shading and highlight. I don't. So that's just me. I just don't like it. And I'm gonna do this pink a little bit more. And you want to make sure that you're just sticking the tip of your brush in. You don't want the paint over in here, or you're going to end up with you know, being somewhere you don't want it. Now see, I didn't blend as well that time. And see, it's a lot darker. But that's good enough. There's certain colors that I approach with caution when it comes to floating. I really, really blend my paint. Now this time, this happened to be a little bit darker. But I'll just leave it. The color I'm going to use for Shoreline, and this is not what they recommended. They actually recommend turquoise. But when I floated with that, I want a little bit of distinction. It just wasn't enough. So I'm going to use a color called Desert Turquoise. And it's a little bit on the darker side. But I'm just going to blend it really, really well. blending your paint is one of the key elements for a good float. And then having a good combination of water and paint in your brush is another. And plain water. But blending. And then the pressure, how much pressure that you apply to your surface. And see, I hardly touch that. I blended it actually too much, so even though I said allow it to dry or you'll be wiping off your paint, there's nothing hardly there to wipe off. So I'm just gonna go back and go again. And that turquoise you can barely see. But that's hard to tell. But see, I put too much paint on and I'm over that edge. So what I did is I touched my brush to the to my napkin and took that paint off. Because otherwise, I'd have that darker color all the way over in here. So just be mindful of that when you're moving your brush back and forth when you're blending it. Sometimes you might have to dip your brush back into the water and start again, start from scratch. And there's nothing wrong with that. I do it. I've done it quite often. Excuse me. And that blue is being, I'm really blending it because I don't want it that bright, but I might have to up not blend it as much. Because otherwise I'm going to be here to Christmas. And then after I get done shading all this, I'm going to need to empty my water because it's pretty bad. Now this is a lot darker than what I wanted. So what I'm going to do, is just I dip my paintbrush in my water and I'm just going to kind of go over it, trying to drag some of that paint off, pull it off, and then I'll go back and hit it again. Alright, the color I like to use to shade the purple petal is a color called lavender. And this is one of those colors, once again, you know, all these colors are pretty dark, I think, for shading. And so you just want to really, really blend your paint and just not put a whole lot on your brush. Unless you want a really dark shadow shading from the get-go. Then load up your brush and go for it. Like I said, I just like to build mine. It takes me longer, but I end up getting the results that I want. And here's the deal, everything's fixable. If you happen to get too much highlighting or shading, what I like to do is I like to take then and float the base color back over what I just did. And what I find that does is it kind of calms it down what you did. So that's what I do. The floating color for the coral shell is a color called Coral Blush. And there's hardly any room. The area is very small to float, so it might not make that much of a difference. I think I'm going to go over that blue one more time, and then I'm leaving it be. This is when you're doing, you know, highlighting and shading and line work. This is what they call the detailed work of painting. And this is the most time-consuming part of painting, but it just will add so much to your project when it's all said and done. It makes the finished product look so much nicer. And you can spend a lot of time on detailed work, or no time at all. Some people don't even do detailed work, and I think it just does something to your finished product. It just does. So I'm going to take that extra time and do that. And this beach ball is about done. I'm going to do one more pass on this one side. Then we'll paint the center white, and then it's time for me to empty my water. And you'll see once I put that, paint that white, it's just gonna kind of pull it all together. It just might take several coats because I'm trying to cover up color. Or you can apply a really thick coat from the get-go and maybe not have to do as many layers. That's not how I do it, because like when you apply really thick coats, one, it takes longer for your paint to dry unless you have a dryer. And then secondly, you see your brush marks. And it just, I mean, one of the first things that I was taught is you don't want to see brush strokes. At least on not this style of painting. You know, you got the artists like, you know, Van Gogh, Michelangelo. I used to love watching Bob Ross on Saturdays, and he painted pretty much with a palette knife. And, you know, there you applied it really, really thick, and that was the style. But for me, when it comes to painting, I just like to blend a good amount of paint and water and then just come back and do several coats. See, that's too much paint. But I'll take and move that paint around to flatten it out. And I think this might need one more coat, and it'll be good. But that's just going to add a lot of color. I need to go over that one. Okay, I think that's good enough. So, with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and take a break, empty my water, and I will be back. And I need to think about what color I want to paint this surfboard. Part of me really wants to paint it that green, just to bring in some green. I know I don't want to paint it blue because my truck is going to be blue. I think I'm going to paint the sunglasses that bright pink. So I think I'll do the green, and then I'm not sure what color of stripe I'll do. Maybe that orange. So, with that being said, I will be back shortly. Hopefully you stick around. Okay. So I do think I'm going to paint this surfboard the sweet mint. And here's my truck, the color of the truck that I'm going to be putting it in. And this is what I meant by, you know, you only have so much space. I mean, it's all the way down, and you only have so much space. So, you know, you got to just kind of put it right in there once you glue it. But I'm liking the colors. It goes with the color of the truck. And it's it only goes a certain way. So that's kind of what you're looking at so far. Very tropical. I like it. And I think this color will look good against the blue. So that's the color I'm going to do the surfboard. I think that's a good choice. So, and I think, like I said, I'll probably do, hello, that coral color for the stripe. Too much paint. Holy smokes. And I could actually use a sponge. So what I'll do is I'll just take a smaller brush and go around these areas by the hat and the beard, and then do the rest with a sponge. These colors I'm using are even great colors to use at Easter time if you're painting something for Easter. And speaking of Easter, I have some really cute interchangeable Easter designs. I have one for the bench. I have a fence peeker. One for my interchangeable window, and I have a truck insert. I have an adorable interchangeable sign. The Easter design is just absolutely adorable, very colorful. Hello. I don't know if I'm going to stick with that, the yellow shorts. We'll see. So So I'll get my sponge out here and try and put, use that to apply my paint. And the highlighting color for this particular color is a color they call Cool White. And probably what I'll do is just go to the very top of the surfboard. And like I said, this is going to be pretty bright and colorful. And that's what I'm after. I mean, if you think about it, beach decor is pretty bright. And the color looks so different on the screen than it does in person. I'm just going to have to be pretty careful with shading on this, just because that color is just so powerful, in my opinion. Yeah, I do like this color. It's definitely a great color to use for Easter eggs. This is what I'm talking about. See how I'm pressing down and how my bristles are spreading out. You just want to be careful and conscious of how much pressure you're putting on your brush if you're trying to go in small areas. And you'll see me turn my brush like this to get in these little curvy areas. And I'm still pressing oh so lightly when I do that. Now, if you have stencils, like with some swirls or like a flower or something like that, you could stencil on, a design on the surfboard, because sometimes surfboards, you know, have designs on them. That's something you could do just to add another element. I'm going to use the coral shell. I think I'm going to paint this color. Just because I don't have a whole lot of this color in this design. Alright, that might be enough. My water's a mess already. Alright, I want to use a color called Cool White. That's what they recommend for highlighting. So like I said, I'm just gonna do the very tip of this surfboard. And I'm gonna take, I'm actually gonna take a bigger brush. Because I want it to come down about a ½ inch to an inch. And because this is such a larger brush, I dipped it in and I already have it like halfway across my brush. So, but I'm still gonna try and get it like, when it comes to blending, get it about 3/4 over, if possible. So it's hard to tell, but like if you look on the back, it's moved over. And then I'm just gonna start at the tip and then just kind of walk my float. I have way too much water in my brush. And just kind of walk it down. I'm just kind of highlighting at an angle. And I'm gonna have to do a couple coats because I'm not trying to get all the highlighting and shading done right away. And then I've got to use that bluegrass green. I don't even know if I told you that's what the shading color was for this green. But it's bluegrass green. And I'm just gonna go on each side of the stripe for now. Then I need to go around the hat and the beard. But see, just adding a little color now kind of creates a different look. Now this, you know, usually when you float highlighting and shading, it's to create an optical illusion of layers and dimension. But there's sometimes that it just doesn't do that, and this is one of them. Because there's no layers to really create. And I need to go over that one shading area a little bit better. I really blended my paint because I'm pretty gun shy about this color. I just, know what it can do. And I'll have to let that dry, and then I'm going to try and go around the beard and then down. I do want to go around the hat. But I don't care if this particular... Uh-oh. Okay, I don't know what happened there, but I ended up with a hair. And I kind of got it on my hat. So I need to wipe that off real quick. I'll try that again. I'll have to go over that again. I think I want just a little bit more white at the top. Then I need to kind of go down around here with very little paint. Just to kind of bring that shadow down. All right. Hello. All right, I'm gonna highlight the outside edge of this stripe. I'm going to do that first, and then, well, not the outside edge, but the top and the bottom of the stripe. And then I'll come back and shade in there. But I'm going to use a color called White Peach. Hi, honey. Hey, you want to bring home some of that Wendy's chili you were talking about? If you're still here, I was going to message you. I hope you're having a good day. He might be gone already. I might have to message. And I ran out of paint and water. Yeah, he's gone already. Hold on a second. Okay. I like Wendy's chili. I like Texas Roadhouse chili, but it's a little spicy. It's got a kick to it. Just a little bit of a one. They had the best country fried chicken. I don't care for gravy, and I like white gravy, but I don't care for that white gravy. But that chicken dinner is really good. And you get a big, big piece of chicken. I mean, it's huge. Now see, for me, that shading is kind of a lot darker than I want, and I think I'm going to try and go over it. I don't know if I'll have any success with it or not, but I'm going to just take the base color, I'm going to float and pray that it will mellow it out just a tad. And I might have to do it a couple times. I just want it muted. See, I'm out of water. But how you can tell, here's a tip for you if you're just starting out. How you can tell if you don't have enough water in your brush is your brush will actually start dragging across the surface as you're floating, painting, so forth. So that's kind of a sign. And then also too, sorry, I'm concentrating on what I'm doing. Your bristles will start splitting apart. That's better. It's not so in the face. See, that was just an easy fix. I mean, easy. So don't ever stress if you're not happy with your floating, because it can be, you can fix it. Everything's fixable. Now I'm going to take that coral blush and I'm going to shade that stripe, hopefully oh so lightly, around the hat and the beard. And I'm going to start right underneath the hat first. I just want it faint. I just want a faint shadow. This is so dark down in there. Holy smokes. Way darker than what I wanted. I'm kind of struggling with my floating today. It's the struggles for real type of day. Too much water in my brush. I don't know where I'm getting all these fuzzies. You want to wipe those away quickly or they'll dry into your paint. I don't know where they're coming from. And that is good enough. Now, the flower that I created for this hat is what they call plumeria, which is what they use to create leis out of. So if you were to, go to Hawaii, that's what you're going to get. I actually think I'm going to probably do a yellow flower. So I believe the color I used last time, I don't have it out, was sour apple to paint the leaves, which is pretty bright. But I think to paint it this color, I know this color does not look good. Well, it might look good with the yellow. All right. I'm gonna hold on to that just in case. I need to do these coconuts. I'm all over the place today. See, I just don't think that color is that offset. But I plan on highlighting the edges, doing a little dry brushing. And I think the color for that is yellow ochre. More yellow. So, and then the shading color is terracotta, I think. So let me try and dry brush a little bit of this yellow ochre. And this is kind of on the same lines as the golden straw. And I'm just gonna, whoops, I don't want that part. I'm just gonna kind of do the ends. Just a tip, one tip. And I'm just going ever so lightly because I'm a little bit hesitant about this color. So you can see a little bit of a difference. Then the shading color, like I said, is that terracotta. And I had it out here, which is kind of like a, I don't know, it's to me a peachy brown. And then something you can do is you can always add an additional color of highlighting and shading. Just to introduce another color. And I might throw a little buttermilk on there, on the tips, just to brighten it up. I didn't shake that up very good. I don't see how this is going to make much of a difference, but yeah, it's not what I'm after as far as color goes. That's not what I'm after at all. I kind of want a brown. Hello. So I think I'm going to try espresso and just kind of blend it out a little bit. It's a different tone of brown. It's not that reddish brown, but I know I want a little bit of darkness, a little bit more than what's going on there. Another color you could use is burnt sienna instead of the terracotta. That's probably would have been my first choice. But I know I want a darker brown. So I don't want a reddish brown for shading. And I am gonna just throw a little buttermilk, just a little teeny tiny sliver of highlighting on the tip, just to brighten up that ends just a little bit. So just, it gives two different colors now to that highlighting. In a sense, it's kind of causing a gradient. And then what I'm going to do is take my little cheater. Hey, how are you? Well, thank you very much. I love your alias. I still don't know who your wife is at work. And you're gone. But, buddy, that was very nice. You and your alias. He must have been talking to my husband. All right, so I'm going to take my cheater and I'm going to shade around this coconut. Whoa. What's nice, though, about this little cheater is it's water soluble. So when you have an oops moment like that, it's fixable. Oh, that was really nice. I haven't seen him in a long time. And that guy is absolutely one of the funniest people you will ever meet. Absolutely hysterical. Known him for years. Maybe a little bit more on this one end. So while that's drying, I'm going to maybe if I paint those leaves a light green instead, maybe that'll be a better choice because it'll be a little bit brighter. Yeah, I work with his wife, but there's a lot of employees, and she works in a totally different area than I do. But I have no idea who she is. And I'm going to try one more coat of the shading, and I'm done with the coconuts. And that's that. Okay, how long have I been on here? 2 hours. Okay, all right. I'm gonna paint these flowers a banana cream, and then what I'll do is I'm gonna probably, I have a really tiny stencil brush, dry brush, I don't know what you want to call it. And I'm gonna highlight the outside tips of this flower. And I might even, and I'm pushing it when I say this, if you're familiar with plumeria, it's usually darker in the center or a different color in the center. Tips are usually lighter. At least that's what I had. So I'm gonna kind of try and mimic this after the plant that I had. I might even take some of that Sunny Day, which is like a bright fluorescent yellow, and try and dry brush that center just to get a little brighter yellow and not using that antique gold. I just have to try and create a little bit of something with this flower because honestly it's quite boring. So for me it is to just paint it yellow and then paint the leaves green is boring. This paint is just so thick. Alright, good enough. I'm going to throw a little olive green on the tips of these leaves, just for giggles. attempt the dry brushing, and it's either going to work or it's going to be an epic fail. That's brave. Whew. I ain't feeling that flower at all. I'm not feeling it. But it is what it is. All right, I'm gonna take the sunny day, which I know is bright as heck. And I'm just gonna kind of go around in a circle in the middle with hopes that it'll transfer a little color. I don't know. Kind of feel like I still have some green in that brush. So let's go to a smaller one and a larger one, and I don't know, something ain't right there. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. That ain't working out. Not at all. There's green in the mix. And I don't know how, from where or why. It might be, because this is like a totally different looking type of yellow. So I think I'm going to hold off on that. Something I could do. Is maybe paint the flower white and then try and dry brush the center with yellow. That might be the smarter choice. Or not do yellow at all. That might be the smarter choice. Yeah, because there's definitely a green cast going on. And I know my brush was clean. I always clean my brushes as I use them. So, I think with that being said, I'm going to end this particular segment for the day. And I don't think I'll be back on later today. Definitely maybe over the weekend. Well, let me just see how... what we've got going on and how it looks. So that's where we're at. Pretty colorful. And those coconuts don't look too bad. I might need to go around that one a little bit more. Let me do that before I get out of here, or I will forget. One more hit. But I'm liking it. Everything but the flower. That might be a rethink. I don't know. And I changed up the style of flower this time around compared to the last gnome I did. So I probably should have stuck with what I had. But yeah. And then just adding that little bit of buttermilk on the tips of these coconuts just does something. It just makes them pop out even more. So I'm liking it. I do need to do some shading right there probably, but I'll save that for another day. But I'm liking it so far. So, until next time, take care. Bye-bye.